The grand halls of the Interstellar Peace Summit hummed with tension as Ambassador James Harrison adjusted his formal attire. After 15 years of diplomatic service, this was arguably the most crucial meeting of his career. The Luminarians, an advanced civilization from the Andromeda Galaxy, had finally agreed to peace talks after decades of isolation. James couldn't help but notice how other diplomats whispered and stared at the Luminarian delegation. Their flowing robes of liquid crystal caught every ray of light, creating mesmerizing patterns that seemed to dance across the chamber. But it was their leader who commanded the most attention, Princess Nadia, heir to the Luminarian throne, whose face remained hidden behind an ornate veil of shifting starlight. The negotiations had reached a critical point. Earth needed access to Luminarian clean energy technology to prevent an impending environmental crisis. In return, the Luminarians sought something far more precious: human creativity, art, and music, things their highly logical species struggled to produce despite their technological superiority. The terms are acceptable, Princess Nadia's melodic voice carried across the chamber, but our traditions require more than mere signatures. A permanent bond must be forged between our peoples. She turned toward James, her veil rippling like liquid moonlight. We propose a union between our houses. A marriage. The chamber erupted in murmurs. James felt his heart race as understanding dawned. He was the highest-ranking unmarried human diplomat present. The princess's next words confirmed his suspicion. Ambassador Harrison, you have shown remarkable insight during these negotiations. Would you consent to such a union? James knew what everyone was thinking. No one had ever seen a Luminarian's face. Their veils were more than cultural symbols, they were technological marvels that concealed their true appearance. Rumors spoke of beings made of pure light, or features so alien they drove others mad. Yet as he studied the graceful figure before him, James felt no fear, only curiosity and a strange attraction to her brilliant mind. I would be honored, he replied, his voice steady despite the gasps from both delegations. Though I hope your highness understands that humans value faces in forming emotional connections. Princess Nadia approached him, her movements fluid like flowing water. The veil remains until the ceremony, she said softly. It is our way. Do you trust enough to accept this condition? James smiled. Trust is the foundation of any lasting peace. I accept. As preparations for the ceremony began, James noticed subtle tensions among the Luminarian delegation. Councillor Vex, their chief diplomat, seemed particularly agitated, his crystalline staff tapping an irregular rhythm against the floor. When their eyes met, James sensed something beneath the man's polite exterior. Was it anger? Disgust? The night before the ceremony, James stood at the viewing window of his quarters aboard the Peace Station, watching distant stars drift by. A soft chime announced a visitor, Princess Nadia. Her veil seemed to mirror the starfield beyond the window. You're either very brave or very foolish, she said, moving to stand beside him. Most species would never agree to such a union without seeing what lies beneath. Perhaps humans are simply better at looking past surfaces, James replied. Your words and actions have shown me more than any face could. She turned to him, and though he couldn't see her expression, he sensed her surprise. You are different from the others we've encountered. Your species' capacity for acceptance, for embracing the unknown, it's remarkable. Is that why you chose me? James asked. Partially, she admitted. But there's more. Our scientists have detected something unique about human neural patterns. You feel emotions more intensely than any species we've encountered, yet you channel them into creation rather than destruction. We need that vitality. James stepped closer, drawn by the conviction in her voice. And what do you need, princess? Not your people, but you? The veil rippled as she reached out to touch his chest, right above his heart. I need someone who sees me, not just the veil. Tomorrow, you'll understand. As she turned to leave, James caught a glimpse of something through her veil, not a face, but a soft glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. He smiled, realizing that whatever lay beneath that veil, his heart had already decided to trust it. Little did they know that across the station, Counselor Vex was gathering his supporters, his crystalline staff now glowing with ominous purpose. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we'll show these humans why some veils should never be lifted." The ceremonial chamber aboard the peace station sparkled with crystalline decorations, their facets reflecting the combined traditions of Earth and Luminar. James stood before the gathered diplomats, his heart steady despite the weight of the moment. He watched as Princess Nadia glided toward him, her ceremonial robes casting prismatic patterns across the walls. The ancient marriage rites proceeded with solemn gravity until the moment everyone awaited, the unveiling. James heard the collective intake of breath as Nadia's hands rose to her veil. The starlight fabric dissolved like morning mist, revealing what lay beneath. James found himself gazing into eyes like liquid gold, set in a face that seemed crafted from living crystal. Her skin was translucent, with patterns of light flowing beneath the surface like rivers of starfire. Delicate crystalline structures framed her features, catching and amplifying the natural luminescence of her being. She was alien, yet breathtakingly beautiful. "Are you disappointed?" Nadia asked softly, her voice carrying an undertone that made the crystals in the room resonate. "Quite the opposite," James replied, reaching out to touch her crystalline cheek. "You're extraordinary." Their first kiss sent a surge of energy through the chamber, causing the crystalline decorations to pulse with light. James felt a tingling sensation where their lips met, like touching a star made flesh. When they parted, he noticed her skin glowing brighter, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The celebration that followed was interrupted by urgent news. Several Earth colonies had reported attacks by unknown forces. As James and Nadia reviewed the reports in their private quarters, a pattern emerged. The attackers used weapons that matched Luminarian technology, yet the Luminarian Council denied any involvement. These energy signatures, Nadia traced the holographic displays with a glowing finger, they're from outdated weapons we abandoned centuries ago. Only the traditionalist faction would still. She froze, her light dimming slightly. "Vex. He leads the traditionalists." James approached the window, watching distant ships dock with the station. "The attacks began right after our ceremony." "That's not a coincidence." "No," Nadia moved to join him, her crystalline form casting rainbow refractions across his face. "The traditionalists believe our species should remain pure. This union threatens everything they stand for." She took his hand, and James felt a warm current of energy flow between them. "There's something else you should know about Luminarian biology. When we bond with another being, it creates a permanent connection. I can sense your thoughts, your emotions. Is that why I can feel your anxiety right now?" James asked, suddenly aware of foreign emotions mixing with his own. "Yes. The bond grows stronger with time. It's why mixed marriages were forbidden, until now." She turned to face him, her golden eyes intense. "James, I can sense danger approaching. Vex isn't just planning attacks on colonies. He's dash." The station shuddered violently, alarms blaring through the corridors. Emergency lights cast red shadows across Nadia's crystalline features as she grabbed James's arm. "They're here." Security feeds showed chaos erupting throughout the station. Soldiers in traditional Luminarian armor were streaming from the newly docked ships, led by Counselor Vex himself. His crystalline staff now pulsed with angry red energy. "We need to reach the control center," James said, checking the small energy pistol at his hip. "Warn both fleets before this escalates into full-scale war." "There's a maintenance passage through the crystal gardens," Nadia's skin pulsed with determination. "But James, there's something you need to understand about Vex. He's not just a traditionalist, he's a stellar archon, one of the few Luminarians who can manipulate the fundamental forces of space-time. As if to emphasize her point, the corridor ahead of them suddenly twisted, space itself warping under Vex's influence. Through their bond, James felt Nadia's fear mixing with fierce protectiveness. She stepped forward, her own crystalline form beginning to resonate with power. Then it's fortunate, James said, drawing his weapon, that humans have plenty of experience dealing with impossible odds. The station trembled again as two civilizations teetered on the brink of war, while a love that defied space and time prepared to make it stand. The twisted corridors of the peace station became a maze of warped reality as James and Nadia raced toward the control center. Through their strengthening bond, James could feel the strain as Nadia used her own crystalline powers to counter Vex's spacetime distortions. The maintenance shaft is ahead, Nadia's voice resonated with effort, her crystalline form pulsing with increasing brightness. But Vex's forces are converging from multiple directions. James checked the station's security feed on his portable display. They're hurting us. Vex isn't just trying to stop us, he wants to capture us. Worse, Nadia's golden eyes narrowed as she pressed her hand against a crystal panel, revealing a hidden passage. He wants to study our bond. The traditionalists have a theory that human luminarian hybrids could possess unprecedented powers. They fear such beings would be uncontrollable. As they navigated the narrow maintenance shaft, James processed this information. Is that possible? Human luminarian children? Theoretically. Even in the dim light, James could see her crystal skin flush with a deeper glow. Our biology is more compatible than anyone suspected. It's why the bond between us formed so quickly and strongly. A sudden explosion rocked the station, sending them stumbling into each other. James caught Nadia, and the moment their skin touched, a surge of shared sensation flooded their bond. He felt her determination, her fear for her people, and something deeper, a growing love that terrified and thrilled her logical mind. They've breached the diplomatic quarter, James said, helping her up. We need to dash. The wall beside them suddenly melted away, revealing Counselor Vex flanked by armored soldiers. His crystalline staff pulsed with dark energy, distorting the air around him. The abomination must end, Vex's voice echoed with unnatural harmonics. Your union threatens the purity of our species, the very fabric of spacetime itself. Nadia stepped forward, her form blazing with inner light. You're wrong, Vex. This bond, this love, it's not a corruption. It's evolution. Love? Vex spat the word like poison. You've been contaminated by human emotion. The princess I trained would never speak such primitive nonsense. James raised his energy pistol, but Vex gestured casually, warping space to tear the weapon from his hand. The soldiers raised their crystalline rifles, but before they could fire, something extraordinary happened. Nadia's touch on James's arm sent a cascade of energy through their bond. Her crystalline resonance merged with his bioelectric field, creating a harmonic frequency that made the very structure of the station sing. The soldiers' weapons shattered, their crystalline components resonating at precisely the wrong frequency. Impossible, Vex breathed, raising his staff defensively. The legends of harmonic convergence, they were just myths. No, Nadia's voice carried the weight of revelation. The ancient texts spoke of this: when two species achieve perfect resonance, their combined energy can influence the fundamental forces themselves. That's what you really feared, isn't it? Not that we'd create something uncontrollable, but that we'd prove your entire philosophy wrong. Through their bond, James felt Nadia's power surging, seeking harmony with his own life force. He understood instinctively what she needed, opening himself fully to their connection. The resulting resonance sent waves of energy through the station, stabilizing Vex's spacetime distortions. But Vex wasn't finished. His staff flared with dark power as he launched a desperate attack. If I can't prevent this union, he snarled, I can still ensure no others follow your path. Reality itself seemed to crack around them as Vex channeled forbidden energies. James held Nadia tighter, their combined resonance creating a shield of pure harmony against the cosmic forces being unleashed. In that moment of crisis, as space and time buckled around them, James and Nadia discovered that their love had created something entirely new, a power born from the perfect union of human emotion and luminarian energy. The question was, would it be enough to save not just themselves, but the future of both their species? The Peace Station's corridors filled with cascading waves of energy as Vex's attack collided with James and Nadia's harmonic shield. Their combined power held firm, but the strain was evident in the way Nadia's crystalline form flickered and James's muscles trembled. "Your resistance is futile," Vex snarled, dark energies crackling around his staff. "The power you've stumbled upon is unstable. It will tear you apart." Through their bond, James felt Nadia's thoughts merge with his own. They shared not just power, but knowledge, understanding, and purpose. The human capacity for intuitive leaps combined with luminarian logical precision, creating something greater than either alone. "You're wrong about stability," James said, his voice resonating with Nadia's harmonic frequencies. "True harmony doesn't destroy, it creates." Nadia's golden eyes blazed as she channeled more energy through their bond. The ancient texts weren't warning about destruction, Vex. They were describing transformation. The station's crystalline architecture began to sing in response to their harmonized energy. Each crystal panel and support beam added its voice to a growing symphony of power. James realized that the station itself, built with luminarian crystal technology, could amplify their resonance. Vex's eyes widened as he recognized the pattern forming around them. No, the stellar convergence. It's not possible. But it was happening. The love between James and Nadia had catalyzed something the traditionalists had never considered, a perfect fusion of human emotion and luminarian energy that could reshape reality itself. Through their deepening bond, James understood the truth that had eluded both species for so long. "Emotions aren't a weakness," he declared, memories of Earth's greatest achievements flowing through their shared consciousness. "They drive us to create, to explore, to transcend our limitations." "And logic isn't cold perfection," Nadia added, her own memories of luminarian achievements merging with his. "It's a framework for understanding the infinite possibilities of existence." Their combined energy surged outward, not as a weapon, but as a wave of pure harmony. Where it touched Vex's spacetime distortions, order was restored. His dark energy attacks dissipated, transformed into pure light. The soldiers' remaining weapons crumbled to dust as the harmonic wave passed through them. Vex raised his staff in one final, desperate attack. "I won't let you destroy everything we've built." The resulting collision of energies threatened to tear the station apart. But James and Nadia stood firm, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. Through their shared consciousness, they discovered the true purpose of the stellar convergence, not to destroy or dominate, but to unite. As their harmonized power reached its peak, James and Nadia began to glow with an inner light that transcended physical form. The station's crystals amplified their resonance, creating a field of pure harmony that spread throughout the structure. Where it touched, hatred and fear dissolved, replaced by understanding. The soldiers lowered their weapons, overwhelmed by the wave of empathy and connection washing over them. Even Vex stumbled, his staff slipping from nerveless fingers as the truth of his actions became clear through the lens of shared consciousness. What is this?" Vex whispered, his voice stripped of anger. "This is what you feared," Nadia said gently. "Not corruption, but completion. Not chaos, but a higher order of existence." James felt the change rippling through both human and luminarian minds aboard the station. Through their bond, he and Nadia had proven that love wasn't just an emotion, it was a fundamental force of the universe, capable of transcending the barriers between species and reshaping reality itself. But even as victory seemed within reach, warning alarms blared throughout the station. The massive energy release had triggered an unexpected reaction in the station's power core. They had stopped Vex, but now faced an even greater challenge, preventing a catastrophic chain reaction that could destroy everything they had fought to preserve. Emergency lights pulsed crimson throughout the Peace Station as its power core approached critical levels. The massive energy release from the stellar convergence had triggered an unexpected reaction in the experimental fusion matrix, threatening to tear the station apart. The containment fields are failing. Nadia's golden eyes flickered as she processed data through the station's crystal matrix. The core's harmonic frequency is destabilizing. James studied the holographic readouts, his mind linked with Nadia's through their strengthened bond. If it breaches, the explosion will take out half the fleet, both human and Luminarian ships. Vex, now freed from his zealotry by the convergence, stepped forward. The core was designed to channel pure Luminarian energy. The hybrid resonance we created, it's causing a cascade effect. Through their bond, James felt Nadia's sudden realization. That's it. The core isn't failing, it's evolving. It needs a new form of stability, one that combines both our energies. Like us, James said, understanding flowing through their connection. We need to synchronize with the core's frequency, create a perfect harmony between human and Luminarian energy. Vex's eyes widened. The strain could kill you both. No one has ever attempted to merge with a fusion core. We have to try. Nadia's crystalline form pulsed with determination. Our love created this crisis, it can solve it too. James took her hand, feeling their energies align. Together? Always, she smiled, her light matching his heartbeat. They approached the core chamber, its walls warping with unstable energy. Through their bond, they could feel the raw power thrumming through the station's superstructure. The core itself was a sphere of pure light, crackling with competing frequencies. Nadia began to resonate, her crystalline form harmonizing with the core's energy. James opened himself fully to their connection, allowing his bioelectric field to merge with her crystalline frequencies. The sensation was overwhelming, like touching the heart of a star while remaining perfectly still. Their combined consciousness expanded, touching every crystal, every circuit, every atom of the station. They became aware of the fleet outside, thousands of lives hanging in the balance. Human determination met Luminarian precision, creating a new frequency that sang through space itself. The core responded, its chaotic energies slowly aligning with their harmonic pattern. Through their shared vision, they could see the strands of reality themselves, weaving together in new configurations. Human emotion and Luminarian energy ceased to be separate forces, instead becoming parts of a greater whole. Vex watched in awe as the core's light changed, shifting from harsh brightness to a warm, steady glow. The legend spoke of this, the great harmony. We thought it was just a myth. As the crisis subsided, James and Nadia maintained their connection, their merged consciousness exploring the new reality they had helped create. Through their bond, they sensed the change rippling outward, touching both fleets, both species. Ancient barriers crumbled as understanding flowed between human and Luminarian minds. It's beautiful, Nadia whispered, her form shimmering with joy. This is what we were meant to become. James held her close, their energies dancing together in perfect synchronization. Not an ending, but a beginning. In the days that followed, the Peace Station became a symbol of transformation. The stellar convergence had done more than prevent a war, it had opened the door to a new era of human-Luminarian cooperation. Research teams studied the harmonized core, discovering applications that would revolutionize both species' understanding of energy and consciousness. Vex, humbled by his experience, became a leading advocate for integration between the species. The traditionalist movement, confronted with undeniable proof of the benefits of unity, gradually transformed into a force for positive change. But perhaps the most profound change was the simplest. Throughout both civilizations, the sight of a human hand clasped with crystalline fingers became a symbol of hope. Love, it seemed, truly was the fundamental force they had sought all along. James and Nadia stood at their favorite viewport, watching ships from both fleets moving in choreographed harmony. Their bond had grown stronger than ever, a living testament to the power of trust and acceptance. "No more veils," Nadia said softly, her golden eyes reflecting starlight. "No more barriers," James agreed, feeling their shared joy ripple through the station's crystal lattice. Above them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, witnessing the dawn of a new age, one where differences became strengths, and love proved stronger than the very forces that held the universe together.